policy. Members of the public will not be filmed unless they address the council, but incidental capture is possible. The recording will be available for viewing upon request until the official minutes are approved, after which they will be destroyed. For those watching the live stream, comments will not be monitored and members not be able to engage directly in the meeting in that way. If you wish to contact the council after the meeting, this can be done via email at itc@northdevon.gov.uk. Please be clear when talking and raise your hand before talking to request to speak via the chair, and please turn all mobile devices off and silent. Well, thank you. So we'll go our usual prayers for this meeting, and we'll start with item 1, to receive and agree apologies and reasons for absence.
Again, I've got apologies from Councillor Paul Crabb. Currently, I've had absence of Councillor Harrison Perrin. I think that's everybody else is here.
Okay, got that noted. Item 2, to receive declarations of interest and consider members' submitted dispensation requests.
I've not received any unless anyone has any declarations of interest for this meeting. No.
No, all good. Item 3, do we have anything for chair's discretion or for information only?
Could I
that one?
Yeah.
and myself and Sarah, so 3.
Right, to determine item 4, which items, if any, of the agenda should be taken with the public excluded?
I don't feel that there's anything on the agenda unless anyone has an objection or wants to list something. I think everything is suitable in the public domain.
5, public participation. Norman, you've got a new man to call you up as Norman.
No. All I was going to ask is, have you got any more information regarding? I keep on asking, I ask until I see something happening. I'd like to see the shipments finished.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing is, you did say, the last week, or this week, you said, I'll go down the front and I'll look outside. Have you had a look?
Right, first thing with regards to the master planning commission's gone in, it's with the planning department and it's not crossed our desk as yet. So we are now just waiting on North Devon Council Planning Department. They have the mast, it's ready to go. They just need the tick from the planning department. With regards to the lights, I will hold my hands up. Norman, no, I've not. It seems to be not very dark in the evenings, and I'm normally at home and tucked up in bed probably by the time it actually gets dark. So I will do my best, but I'll have to set an alarm at some point. But I will go down and have a look because it's difficult to know until I actually physically see the lights. So, but I will do that.
It seems to me as a layperson, it's absolutely ridiculous that the North Devon District Council, which is the planning authority, can put the thing on the seafront and say to the gentleman they're building it, oh, we can't put the masts up. And this is exactly what he did say to me, because we've got planning permission to put them up.
I can't comment, Norman, unfortunately. It's done internally through North Devon Council. As far as I understand, it was an oversight because of the height restrictions.
There's one just other thing, I don't think the council then, nothing to do with this really, but somebody said to me today, is when all these shops in the high street, all these hairdressers, has the council, can you do anything about that, or is it nothing at all you could do?
Absolutely nothing we can do about it, unfortunately.
Basically, what they say, true or not true, they're basically money laundering. Well, I'm not going to argue with that, I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's obviously cause, and I know it's been in the news about it, but we have checked in with North Devon Council, and there's absolutely nothing they can do. It's private landlords, unfortunately, and unless there is due cause for the police to get involved, they will stay as they are, unfortunately.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, Norman. We will try and sort this out. No? Okay, opportunities there, that's.
Okay, so I do have a question,
Of course.
and it goes back to April of last year. I seem to recall that, we were all notified in our council tax increase that, Ilfracombe Town Council were being allocated a certain percentage for the upkeep and maintenance of the toilets, public toilets. And the first meeting that I came to here 2 months ago, I believe, was when the first toilet block was just about to be handed over. So, I suppose the question is, was the money allocated back to the council to look after those toilets for that period? Or are you, Ilfracombe Town Council now rolling in cash from 13 months of increasing council tax that hasn't been spent?
Okay, thank you for the question.
So the situation hasn't changed. We still only have the one block, unfortunately, not due to any fault of our own. It's down to the legal department of North Devon Council and our solicitors. And we have pushed and tried to chase them because it's obviously it's difficult for us to engage contractors and things like that. The money that was put aside has not been spent. It has been put back into reserves. So although I'd love to be rolling around in it, unfortunately, we're still not. But that I appreciate that concern. That money is earmarked, so to speak, and has been put into a reserve pot. So that will offset any changes, any upgrades we need to do, any possibly will alleviate the cost of the doors that we may be looking to add on. So that money is definitely still for those public conveniences, and it's named as such, so it won't change. Okay.
Thank you for your question. You don't count.
Okay.
Right, so moving to item 6, to approve and adopt the minutes of the last full council meeting on the 14th of April 2025. Are there any updates on actions taken?
If you adopt them first and then.
Just one very cool a bit,
Yes.
suggests I wasn't there in the meeting, but I definitely was.
Then we will make that alteration. Yes, because I think you even proposed the grants section, didn't you? So it's miraculous attendance. But no, we'll get that changed. Thank you.
Right, so they've been circulated. I'm going to propose that we adopt the minutes of the last full council meeting. Do I get a seconder? John? All in favour? Against? Abstentions?
With regards to updates, I don't think there's anything outside of the questions. I think all those have been done.
Okay, good stuff. Item 7, minutes of the planning committee meeting, the note and approve recommendations.
Thank you. Can I present you the minutes of the planning committee meeting held on Tuesday, the 22nd of April? Seems a long time ago, but it obviously isn't. I'm sure you have all read and inwardly digested them. I'm sure it's your very important bedtime reading. As I say, there was no items to report on, so can I ask you to note these, please?
Minutes are duly noted. Item 8, minutes of the finance and general purposes meeting.
The report is submitted, so you all have plenty of time to read it. And the form after is the note contents. We proceed to the developments that you're on.
Any questions? We will note those minutes. Moving on to staffing. We have 3 recommendations. First one, 9.1, to agree the draft employee handbook. So I propose we accept that. Can I get a seconder? If unless there's any questions on. All in favour? Against? Abstentions? Moving on to 9.2, same thing. Any questions on the draft zero tolerance policy? If not, I will recommend that we adopt the draft zero tolerance policy. Can I get a seconder, please? Wow. All in favour? All against? Abstentions? Lastly, 9.3, we've worked out the best closing times for Christmas for 2025. They're noted. I propose that we adopt those closures. I'll get a second. All in favour? Against? Abstentions? Okay. Item 10, report from the proper office.
Sorry, I have to go through 90 pages to find my report. Yeah, I've circulated my reports. There's been an awful lot of bits and pieces, but then sometimes you look at it and wonder what I've actually done. With regards to High Street, this car park, there's still not any movement on that, but that should be coming to an end hopefully very soon. I'm waiting on solicitors and hopefully for the interest rate to go down. Currently, hasn't. All grant applications have been notified, so we're in the process of just sorting all of that out. With regards to evolution, there's obviously a lot going on with a lot of talk from an officer's perspective. I don't know how much talk there is going from the higher councils of North Devon District Council and Devon County Council, but hopefully they can let us know with regard if they know any more. There is a steering group which I've just gone on to as part of DALP. So that is to do with all the, when I say DALP, sorry, Devon Association of Local Councils. So there's a number of, there's one representative from each district that's on it, plus obviously DALC and some other people on there. And it's just a working group really to kind of go through, because DALC is a voice on behalf of local town and parish councils. So they are at the table talking to Devon County Council directly. They are talking to all of the districts as well. So they just need to know what it is that we want. So at the moment, we don't know what we want because nobody's talking to us. I did have a meeting with the chief executive and some of the other councils. I think I said to you last month that was going to be happening. That has happened now. At the moment, we've got, it's very odd. We haven't been, we put ourselves forward and tried to be proactive and said to the chief executive that if you are considering, you know, asset or service transfers, please give us that notification, consider us. We're not shying away from it. We want to do it. We're trying to do it from a proactive perspective so that I don't suddenly have a unitary formed and the next day I have to pick up the bin collections and then take on the leisure centre and 16 parks. It would be much better if it's a progressive handover, if that is what's going to happen. And we can only go by history in other counties as to what's happened with them, and that has happened. So I'm trying to look at it from the precept perspective and try and have gradual increases rather than going from, you know, 400,000 up to millions, which some councils and town councils in other counties have had to do because they've ended up with a lot handed over and very little time. So that's that. If anyone's got any questions, obviously. Health and safety surveys happened. I've circulated that out to everybody so everybody knows what's happened on that. It is your responsibility, so please feel free to come and speak to me. When you adopt all these policies, it is the responsibility of the council, all health and safety. So please do not feel that you can't ask questions and maybe you'll question why we haven't done something or if we should be doing something. We obviously had the town meeting, which was well attended. I think the 2 members of the public were there, which was great. So thank you for that. That's all of the information on that is now on the website, including all the questions and hopefully answers to as many of those questions as we could possibly give.
Yes. That's the next town meeting that the questions that are asked are projected onto the screen. The audio Yeah, it's so hard to hear in there. I know you
Yeah.
can't hear the answers necessarily, but at least if people.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I can consider that for the next one. I mean, obviously, the questions that we were given through the online survey, I think there were 13 of those, but obviously there were more out there, but those
Yeah,
13
ones
could have been
that,
rejected.
it's
Yeah,
not scripted what the answer is.
it's something we can try and see if we can work out and do. Yeah, I think that you've noticed that. And then obviously the BE day 80, that went well at the clapping circle, and it was well attended, so that's my report, unless anyone has any questions.
Is anything, do you know if anything's happening about Emmanuel Church?
Yes, there are discussions happening with regards to the Emmanuel Church. There is discussions between North Devon Council, Ilfracombe Town Council, myself, Charmaine and I are both involved. And with the Methodist Church. At the moment, we are waiting on the Methodist Church to find out what their position is and what they want to do with the building. Obviously, they are wanting to get rid of the building, but they are wanting to get market value. Obviously,
It's not worth it.
we all agree it's not worth anything, but unfortunately you have to tell that to whoever is at the very top of the very long chain who doesn't even know where Ilfracombe exists. So it's work in progress. We're already, as per I think in Charmaine's report, you'll mention that we've put in a bid with
the Architectural Heritage Fund.
Architectural Heritage Fund to try and get a feasibility study set up. We've had a meeting with them, which we had last week, which was very positive. She's very keen for us to try and, when we, as the bigger we, either ourselves or North Devon Council, to acquire the building for community use. So it's going in the right direction, but unfortunately, there's a bit of discussion about a boundary wall as well with Whitbread, who's the premier in behind. So we're trying to establish exactly what's happening there. So we'll have more meetings coming up, but I'll let you know as and when. All Charmaine, and keep an eye on Charmaine's reports, because obviously between the two of us, we'll make sure it's in there. Any other questions on my report before I move on to the next one? No? If you're happy, Chair, I'll carry on.
Please.
So bus shelter report. So discussion and a couple of meetings and a lot of emails going backwards and forwards. What we've established is I went round with a company called Fernbank. Now Fernbank is subcontracted by Devon County Council. And if you drive through Braunton or Barnstable, you'll see that it's their bus shelters which have got the advertising on in these areas. Ilfracombe has never gone down this route. I don't know historically why. I don't know if there was a reason why, but having looked at it and the need for our bus shelters to desperately be changed, because some of them look absolutely awful, Fernbank have agreed on that report that all the ones highlighted in orange that they will take as advertising, they will take on. They will replace free of charge, they will monitor them, they will clean them, they will look after them. Basically, what the recommendation in the report is that we hand those over. They'll come off of our asset register, we will no longer have to maintain them, we will no longer have to look after them. If there's something wrong with them, we can report it to Fernbank and they will come along and they will sort it out and they'll clean them monthly. It makes sense to me, but obviously it's down to yourselves. At the same time, we then got an email about 3 weeks after I've met with Fernbank from Devon County Council to say that they are looking at the Route 21, where they're looking, which goes from, I think, Northam all the way through to us and back, at looking at all the poles and the bus shelters along that route, and they are looking to change all of those. So that's where the spreadsheet kind of came from. That's just obviously our section of the spreadsheet. The ones in yellow, which are the non-advertising ones, they are going to look to replace, or the ones that, I'm talking bus shelters. I haven't really looked at the poles. If they're going to replace the poles, then that's great, but it's the shelters I'm more concerned about. So the ones in yellow are the ones that are non-advertising shelters, but Devon County Council is still going to change them because they are on Route 21, which is the one that they want to improve. So that is all going to be free of charge because they've got funding for it. So I did triple check that. So at the moment, I think we're in quite a positive position that we will hopefully within the next year, all the bus shelters on Route 21 in Ilfracombe will be changed in one capacity or another. So provided you obviously go with the recommendation and agree to take them off their asset register and that we will no longer own them.
Okay. So it sounds to me from that recommendation,
Will then by default they become a Devon County Council asset if it's firm that you are
No,
contracted to?
no, they will become firm bank's asset because in order for them to take on the liability of them and to repair them and do them, they obviously have to insure them. So in order to assure them, they will become their asset and they will take them on.
What happens, because I don't know anything about this, so the way you are explaining it sounds like they have a contract with Devon Council at the moment.
Yes,
So what happens when that contract is up?
I
You.
don't know, but I'm hoping
Devon County as the
that very possibly. I haven't checked the intricacies of that, but
Shouldn't it be on a lease? It won't be their asset, because it's on our payment.
well, it gets
It
removed.
must be a lease, it must be like a 10-year lease, a 20-year lease, 100-year lease. There must be some lease on it, because it's on our, they're our assets, you can't just say, oh.
Well, no, we're looking to remove them off of our
Yeah,
asset
you
list.
can't just do that, you can't just say, oh, that's not good.
Well, I don't, well, personally, Dan, in my view, if it meant that somebody else was looking after a bus shelter, but.
You can't do that, because if you take this family to actually don't want to look after bus shelter, and then suddenly no one put them on any land registry, so they have to be on a lease. You know? Even if it was 1,000 lease, they have to be on something like that. Or you have to transfer the land if they're on, because they're in land, you can't. Yeah, you need to see people, but I don't think you can just say, we don't want them, they're yours, we can't do that.
Well, that's for you to decide. This is the information I've been given, so if you need me to look into it more, I can look into it more. But that's for your discussion, so.
Councillor Elliott had a question.
I was it to speak on Sarah actually.
Oh, sorry, my apologies, yes, you did.
Do you have an opening date for the bus shelter, Seafront?
That one, yes, well, yes, it was the end of April, and then it was the beginning of May, and then it's not quite the beginning of May anymore, so no, I haven't, the last date I had was the 18th of May, but at the moment we're getting contracts sorted out, so I've not had the handover from Devon County, North Devon Council with regards to that legally, but they are already looking at us taking on the contracts for the electricity and for the payment doors and things like that. So we're starting the process. They're trying not to put it in North Devon Council's name for them to just have to then transfer it directly over to us. We're trying to take it from the very first day, though obviously without a contract, I might just charge them for the cost of the electricity. So I don't know yet. But yeah, no, I don't, unfortunately. Hopefully soon.
Right.
Yeah, I like the idea of shifting the bus shelters to somebody else. But I was second board what Dan just said about the legal position. Really, I mean, our bus shelters attached to the public highway. So my suggestion would be let's just bottom out the legal position as regarding ownership and whether there's an existing agreement or lease or some description for them, but in principle, I'm in agreement with you.
So we're okay in principle, should we vote in principle that, or do you need to find?
No,
out?
I think if Greg's put the proposal that we just, we defer this and I'll bring it back to the next.
Yeah.
Next full council, if everyone's happy with that.
That works, so
That's
that's your proposal, I'll second it, or Burke can second that.
No, I was going to say was could we perhaps put it as an agenda item for FGP at P&G? So that we any things that come up in the meantime, we can discuss it.
Yeah, I did hope to try and get this to F&GP a couple of times, but it's just been slow going, so. But yeah, I can do that.
We've got Greg's proposal, I'll second it. All in favour? Against? Abstentions? Good. Thank you, Laura.
It's okay.
Over to our RFO. We can 11.
Because I didn't want to overburden you with even more reports, I've kept the report fairly short. But it's all backed up with the two main reports that we had for the annual meeting anyway. But just to say that the precept, the first instalment has come in, and hopefully this week I will be able to write the checks or do bank transfers for all the grants that were approved. So that will happen hopefully by the end of this week. We were just waiting, I think, on a few to come back with their bank transfer details, which we didn't have. Hopefully that will happen. In regards to the accounts, you will see on there that I transferred the 25,000 out of the commercial account and into the business account to cover us until the precept came in. Because that's come in, I have now transferred that back. So in the May statement, you'll see that that 25,000 has gone back into the commercial account. It is really sort of a drip fund for if we need it, pay bills when things like precepts haven't come in. Okay, so the first bit is to for you to agree the current accounting status. Where is that?
I propose that we agree the current accounting status. Can we get a seconder? Trevor, all in favour? Against? And abstentions? Good.
So the next bit is to review the invoices for approval, and as per normal, you have an addendum with more invoices that came in today. So there's mostly it's EDF, so it's our gas and electric bills for the various assets we've got around town. And we've also got there one from Safe Working Lifts, which is because the lift in this building was playing up and stopping and juddering and making all sorts of strange noises. We had it, we had a call out on it. So it's the call out, but it's also, what they did is they did the maintenance for the quarterly maintenance at the same time. So that's why that's 249, not the 174 this time of year. So is there any questions on any of the other ones in the main report?
Which one we got the town crier expense one?
That's, he's going on a training come, event at
it's-
Paynton, it's their annual event.
Yeah, needs to
So
have
he's
it.
staying, and it's budgeted for it anyway, so it's part of his budget.
It's going to represent Ilfracombe at one of his first big town crier events, so.
It's one they get together annually, isn't it? Are there any other questions on that one?
Oh, 52,000 to NDC, that's wages.
That's our wages.
Yeah.
That's our wages. It's ours and all the other groups, yeah. So could I have a proposer that I can pay those, please? Trevor?
Seconded. All in favour? Against? Abstentions? Good.
So the very last thing, 11.3, like you remember at the last full council, we agreed to move grant funds that were we still had small pots of into the budget. We found another one which we completely right. There is an amount that funding we got for the Pride of Ilfracombe Awards. So there was £163.33 left over last year for that particular pot, and it was part of a pot of donations from a lot of people. So we're requesting that 163.33 go over into the Pride of Ilfracombe budget, so it will increase their budget by that amount. Anybody not?
Yeah, I believe there is shorter on funding this year,
Sure.
so that would help bridge the gap. So I propose that we can use that money. Second. All in favour? Against? Abstentions? Okay, thank you, Carol. Item 12 on the agenda, programme manager report.
Yeah, I think that you all, read the report in detail.
Yeah.
I think the main thing I just wanted to highlight was the fact that we are working on various projects throughout the town with different guides and stuff. And just following on from a number of conversations we've had, I think it's apparent that our health work that we do, we get a significant amount of funding for, and we can do projects that are sustainable and longer term. And we continue to get funding from the NHS and other partners for that work. Whereas some of the other areas of our work, such as the environment and the town regeneration bits and pieces, those areas of funding are very piecemeal and sort of bitty. So it's trying to look at ways in which that we can sort of bridge that gap, because following on from feedback from the town meeting and just general feedback from the town team, that there is still a lot of feedback that areas of the town are looking run down. The one of whom the new revised one of whom is looking in a focus at the high street, which will hopefully look at tackling landlords that have got empty shops for a long time. So that's one area of work. But I haven't say with Devon County Council, who are looking at their urban renewal fund and projects. And we are one of 8 towns that have been classified as important and in need, and all of the other towns that are part of that make up the 8 towns all stress that they are suffering from the same issues that we are. So Devon County Council are looking at some sort of plan to bring something together. Now, I don't think for 1 second we're going to have waves of money coming in, but it's just a point to say that we are aware that that we need some focus on this work. And bearing in mind the town council does contribute a significant amount of manpower to looking after our town. We've got 5 IT operatives, Rob, that does a fantastic job around town. So we do our bit, but obviously we need to do more. The other thing that I just wanted to pick up, certainly whether Charmaine, it's your work that you want to mention about the family hubs that's come up.
Yeah, I can do a bit of an update, so, and Kerry can probably comment on this as well. So it's come up through Living Well and other conversation. So in April, what was known as the Children's Centre, which was run by Action for Children, moved over to Devon County Council, and it's now known as a family hub. Their services previously were 0 to 5 years old, now extended to 0 to 19, not up to 25 if people have special educational needs. We had some really good conversations initially with Devon County Council. It's very much pushed that things wouldn't change too drastically. We understood that the sessions and groups that Action for Children were running would be winding down. That was part of the process. And that the other existing users of the hub itself, the actual building, they would still be able to run theirs. But what I think nobody really anticipated was the potential loss of any of the members of staff up there. And from what we understand, they haven't, just to be clear, Devon County Council haven't confirmed this. But we do understand that quite a significant amount of the staffing members across the patch of North Devon have been made redundant in some way, shape or form. That obviously then has a big impact on what is being delivered and what potentially was said would continue to be delivered. So I've had quite a few conversations with Ilfracombe, who's the head of services, who's overseeing all of that. He's been very good, to be fair, like Joe said, he will give you answers pretty quickly, and he's been very open and said that he will come to our Living Well meeting to kind of allay any concerns and ask questions. But when I asked about kind of staffing, obviously they were in a period of just transitioning, and they were still talking to staff members about kind of the structure and how they move forwards. So we haven't really got a clear answer on actually how many members of staff have been lost. But it is a concern because they are essentially looking to backfill those gaps with community groups, which we know are very low on the ground anyway, similar to what happened with the Link Centre. So there is a bit of previous history there that makes there be some concern for this situation. So Yeah, we are having conversations, and I will see Steve and have a conversation as well today with Healthcare Trust and DCC about that, so certainly something for everybody to be aware of.
I think it's a really difficult situation because we're trying to improve the town through our various projects that we do. But if you look at the sort of like the past 12 months, we've lost the Link Centre and those vital services. We're now losing this. Accident and emergency apparently is going from the Tyrrell. So, you know, 3 massive issues that are facing us, and you know, we're trying to work to improve the town. And I don't necessarily think it's for officers to be pushing politicians from Devon County Council and elsewhere. You know, we've got to make relations with these officers that you know we work with to try and move things on. But there's definitely something that needs to happen on a political level to push home our you know our desire to actually keep the status quo and not us keep moving back.
Can you just give us an idea how many staff in Ilfracombe, the family home, are at risk of redundancy out of what's the size of the team? Is it like 2 people out of 4?
So most of them, what I understand, work across North Devon. Again, this is only what we've heard kind of through our kind of, because we work quite a lot with some of them up there and we know them personally outside of these. The number that I've heard, again, not clarified by Devon County Council, is that there were 27 members of staff across North Devon as a patch, and apparently that's now down to 6. So it's substantial. Yeah.
So you'd like to have 1 in Ilfracombe.
Yeah, the plan apparently is that the members of staff are going to be far more community focused, like actually out in the community. But we haven't really heard places like Chibnall, for instance, that actually the children used to leave their group on. We've already heard that that's been withdrawn. So I don't understand how it's going out to the community, but community outreach is stopping. Again, these are all questions that I have put to Ian Flack and kind of raised as issues. And we are waiting for some answers on that. And again, it's being escalated through other part of the organisation through one of them as well.
That's right.
So I visited the family hub. It's not quite in existence yet, is it? It's in a period of flux, so we haven't quite pinned down how things are going to pan out. The health visitors are now in that building, and it's going to be very much a feel of an office-based building rather than what it was designed for, which was universal services for families and young children. Whilst I can appreciate and want them to concentrate on families of high need or children with high need, and obviously a wider age bracket, you can't put a price on preventative work. The preventative work that they did, and also their outreach in Ilfracombe, and for that to go is catastrophic in my opinion. And it's something which we should be fighting against. But once again, we're an area of high deprivation with huge health inequality, and we're having another service reduced. And we should be extremely worried about that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree, Terry. I am really worried about it as well. I remember going to the family space about a month ago and meeting some parents who were really worried about the withdrawal of all services and the change. I call it withdrawal because it's a change, but it was a change into something that just sounded so watered down, doesn't it? We just don't really know how. It's not providing like for like as we used to do, especially families in need. And you know, we've got young people who need intervention when they're young, not when they get older. And when you said the age remit is also going to be much bigger as well. It just, yeah, it's really worrying. So I'm going to do everything I can to support and work with you guys and do what I can to advocate that we can get something better back. That what we can do, I don't know, but it is really concerning. I was really worried about it when I heard about it last month. Similarly for the high street as well, the urban renewal fund and everything like that, and fully on board with splitting all of that.
And I propose we write a letter as the council to say we're concerned to Devon County
You know, just to raise our concerns with the town council.
Can I ask before we say that are we sure our position at the moment before we start writing letters? I mean, Charmaine, as you've not had the responses back, is it worth us getting those responses back before we jump feet first into something? I don't know, I'm going with whatever you would recommend.
So in the I don't know how much they can still give on it, because they're calling it a period of discovery, I think is what they refer to it as. Because I did push the question, I did obviously ask, they say that they want to appeal with the community, so I asked the question, well, what information did you do to find out what is available in the community? They didn't really come back with an answer with that one, so I think there's still some open-ended questions there, we haven't quite got the answers. I'm happy to go back to Ian and kind of explain that it was discussed here and raise the concerns that everybody's raised this evening. I don't think it would do any harm to send a letter to DCC. We did exactly the same to Lincoln, so although we were a little bit further down the road there, but I think the fact that we had the issues with the link centre already and still haven't recovered from that, and there's potential for something else to happen now, but for the younger people in the town, I think it's probably an idea to draft something.
Can I suggest that we wait until Ian Flack comes to talk to the Living Well team?
Yeah.
And put some of those questions to him and then base our response on any concerns that come out of that.
Yeah, otherwise, I think, sorry.
Can I just tie that in with the political concerns that you have? Is that separate?
No, it's not really. I just think that, Charmaine obviously does an amazing job, talking with other officers within Devon County Council. And I've stressed many times on lots of different, agenda points that we face ourselves with. Officers need to make relationships with other officers and other agencies to keep that going, even when things are bad. It's not for Charmaine to to challenge people on it. So it's what I class as for our politicians and our councillors to make those challenges on our behalf. Once Charmaine can then formulate that argument, so we then don't ruin those relationships that we've got here.
Okay, so it's aligned. So,
I was gonna just suggest then, following on like Terry suggested, is if we, between yourselves, if you're happy to draft something for the next full council, because what I'd rather have is we have a drafted letter that's circulated before we actually send everything. Everybody can agree on it, so it's the voice of you all.
Can I just say that obviously there's only, the Devon County Council is new, they probably haven't even had a full meeting. So I don't see how the councillors who've just been elected, 8 new councillors, they don't even know this is happening. And so, I don't know, I just think if we highlight it, they may say, well, I don't know what we're doing here, we need to change it, because I don't see how they can force through something when they haven't even had a meeting yet. There are obviously decisions that have been made historically by officers. You know, I don't know, I just think if we strike now, it might raise the issue to the 80% of the new councillors who may not be aware of the issue. But if we leave it, it might get passed or whatever before anyone has a chance. I just think that I want to.
It's better to have a properly informed letter than, because there is so much uncertainty about what it's going to map out to look like. I think it's better to wait until Ian Flack has been, and then draft a letter ready for the next council based on the things that didn't get answered, which we're concerned about.
Yeah, and Devon County are not meeting fully till the 22nd of May, and that will be committee positions. So it's not, it's a good point, but I think it's going to take a little while for people to get their heads together. And then it's a good time to discuss it. But I'm, people I want to be involved in this, so I'd like you.
I think the proper officer's recommendation that we need to draft is sound, so you have the hands for Charmaine to draft.
Whatever you guys have to do, I was just raising the point really.
I think the draft would come from Charmaine, and I think we should have a draft before we send. Next time, or next opportunity we have, be next meeting. I can leave you with that. Do we need to formalise that?
No, I think we'll bring that to full council.
Okay, anything else, Steve? Oh, sorry.
I'm just wondering, sort of, top heads is something we should also be raising with colleagues at Barnstable Town Council and North Devon council, because if they're taking staff from across North Devon, we're obviously not going to be the only town that's going to have the well-being, family teams reduced. Is there an argument for just, obviously carry on what we're doing, but just reaching out, where we perhaps, Laura could reach out to other council officers or our North Devon councillors within the Ilfracombe Town Council to talk to colleagues and say, are you aware of this? Because the more sort of councils, depending on whatever level they are, other towns or North Devon, that put in protest or just a query, the more noise you make, the more chance you've got of getting change. If we have, it's great that we should do something ourselves because it's our town, but the more other towns that we sort of replications of and say, you might want to think about doing something yourself, because you're going to be having your resources stripped away as well. It can only help.
The crazy thing is these people's jobs stop thousands of pounds worth of expenses in the future. So if I save them like whatever it might be, 100 grand, but they're actually costing themselves millions down the line on all these people. It's just a money issue.
But yeah, between myself and Charmaine, and I'll have a chat. I've got networks we can possibly speak to.
Any more for Steve? Thank you. Right, agenda item 13, to receive reports, proposals from Ilfracombe Town Councillors. Do we have any proposals?
I have no written reports from any of the town councillors.
Okay,
If anyone has anything verbal they'd like to raise.
good. Agenda item 14, to receive reports from county and district councillors.
I have, I think which got circulated, well, was on the table, from Paul in his absence. He has sent through his final Devon County Councillor report. Obviously, I do realise that it's not had time to circulate, so I'm happy to just run through it very quickly if anyone, just so everyone can go through. This is Paul's final Devon County Councillor report.
Could I ask a question? Will it go on the website?
What, the Devon County Councillor report, we do tend to try to add them in, yes, we add them into the combined papers afterwards. So all late reports do get added into the combined papers on the website, yes.
Even the bit at the bottom, getting.
Make it, I'm not gonna read that part at the bottom, it's his report. So just as a brief overview from his perspective, so Marlborough Road, no further practical updates. The litigation team are obviously still working on that. Unfortunately, he's now, that'll be Sarah's joyous task, I'm afraid. He's been chasing with regards to the Leicester, this is all the highways thing, sorry. With regards to First Hill, Whittingham Road, original date was 17th of January. No further updates on that. His last comments with the neighbourhood highway officer was that it was going to be write a stiff email to his management asking for firm dates. And then this has now developed into Ilfracombe as the next location on the circuit, so within the next 2 weeks. So no further news on that. Something to do with regards to Millhead and Fernway, it's been too hot supposedly to be able to do that. Lee Bay adjacent to the Grange, he's reported that the new drainage scheme has been designed and the gullies will be added and an overflow system should be inserted into the Grange garden. He's reported the blocked drains on St Brannick's A361 that need jetting. This is, I've been doing that on and off for 8 years. I'm not expecting miracles, however, I promise that as it was once jetted and has failed again, it now merits a full scheme of investigation and repair this year, so fingers crossed on that. And then he says, with regards to the parking outside of Spoons, the line marking is going to be swapped around so that you don't have cars in the way and stand at the junction. Then with regards to health, Devon County Council has bid on and received 30 million from DWP to run the Connect to Work or CTW programme for 5 years. Year 1 is a set-up year. Thereafter, DWP expects 1,900 people per year to be helped into work. The scheme is focused on removing barriers to employment faced by people aged 18 and above with a disability, heart condition, or complex personal challenges to either access work or remain in work if at risk of loss of employment. Devon is also expected to provide the service to Plymouth and Torbay. Nothing else to note due to elections. Draft dementia strategy was promised for ICB meeting on 21st of March, but hasn't been published yet. And then obviously various information with regards to devolution, but nothing that's to bring to the table on that. So that's unfortunately, I can't answer any questions that you may have, because it's not your chance then.
To a minute, an objection to the last paragraph, because I think it's quite insulting information.
I don't know the answer to that, Mary. And I'm sorry, I honestly don't know the answer to that. I don't know.
Councillor Elliott Fraser, if we ever have a report,
I think I know.
do we have the right of censorship? Because it will become public facing, so
Before I send that out, I will find out.
I would imagine that we would have to agree as a council,
Yeah,
if we were
I
going to
think-
remove something.
Yeah, which would have to be on the next full council.
Legality.
Maybe that can give, the lead then group of DCC the right of reply. It's giving his point of view. They should have a point of view there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we don't agree with it. If we remove it to.
Well, let's find out what we can do legally.
Yep, I will find out.
We'll have to.
I'll find out before it's definitely published.
Okay. Are we happy with that? Good, right, any other reports?
I can give a bit further report. Yes. So that's gonna be very quick. There's an induction process going on at the moment, so, there's a lot of training and that's to be had. Commenting on that last. At the moment, there is no clear, as we know, no majority, clear majority, and there's no clear way of working. But it's not as decided as Paul makes it sound there. So, yeah, there are always lots of negotiations between groups of this kind that have actually been part of, but haven't come to anything. Just to be upfront, the Greens and Independents form 8 now at council. So if we have expressed to the Liberal Democrats that we would give them our support, obviously not unconditionally, if it gave, because that would give stability to Devon Council, I mean, that they can get their business done. Because otherwise, if we have this, everyone collaborating on an ad hoc basis, that may or may not work because we have a large number of new councillors. And we have a large party who've never been in council before, and we don't know how they're going to vote. So yeah, there's lots of negotiations going on. So I would say it's quite a fluid situation, and no one really knows what's going to happen. But we hope there's going to be stability, and that we can get on with things. Yeah.
Can I ask a question of Councillor Wilson? In your new capacity, Sarah, do you have any idea what committees that you're going to be going on? Because obviously we had Council Crab on highways, and virtually every month there have been issues on highways, and it's been very useful.
Yeah. All county councillors get automatically put on their regional highways committee. So I'll automatically be on that, and I'll automatically be on one of them. So yeah, I will be going to every pattern and doing lots of other things in between. And then the other councils and committees are, Devon County is a cabinet system, so it's hard to get your head around. You are a district council because it's different. So there's 10 places in cabinet that are very powerful, and they form all the strategy. So normally the ruling party, there wouldn't be any other political parties in that cabinet. It would just be, as it was before, all Conservative. It may or may not all be Liberal Democrat this time. And they form all the strategy, and they push through a lot of the agendas. And there are some scrutiny committees that sit under the cabinet, which are also quite powerful, but there aren't many of them, there's only 3. If you can get a position like a chair or a vice chair on scrutiny, even if you're not in cabinet, then that is quite a good place to be. And they have to be politically balanced. So cabinet is just the ruling party, but all the other committees have to be politically balanced. So there are quite a lot of cabinet places to actually, committee places to hand out. And I'll try and get on something that I think is the most beneficial to Ilfracombe. I'm hoping maybe something to do with health and well-being, housing, although housing is a very big remit in Devon County, but it's big on health and well-being. But there'll be numerous committees. And whether they can even fill all committee places actually is another question.
That's right.
Can I just say congratulations to Sarah on being elected as our county councillor, and we look forward to working productively to benefit the town.
Can I just give a report on the North Devon district, just a quick one?
Yeah.
As you know, we had a very long planning meeting last Wednesday. It went on for 5 hours. Sarah was also present. It was New Whitecross. Now, I know it doesn't affect us to any great extent, but with due respect to members, you should be aware that this application was with the recommendation of the officers did actually go through. Now, I expect you've seen on Facebook all the various groups, particularly the Braunton group, which is quite proactive. So I anticipate, and obviously this is only me talking to you, I anticipate that at some stage I feel that an appeal will take place. So obviously I will keep you informed as to what is happening. But the feeling, we had 18 people talk, some in favour, some against. And Petra were quite vocal about their support for the application because they felt it would bring jobs to the area, rightly or wrongly. You know, none of us know at the end of the day. There was an aspect of tourism which is obviously greatly affected by the application because, as you appreciate, Saunton is very much holiday orientated, and we had a very passionate plea for a lady that owned a lot of holiday accommodation in the area. And you know that when we left the meeting after 5 hours, you can imagine how we all felt. And I expect you saw it was covered by Sky TV, BBC One, etc. But we are reassured by the officers that there will be at least 39 plus additional recommendations that the developers, for want of a better word, will have to adhere to, related to bus services, etc. So, as I say, if members are interested, please keep your eyes very much on the local press, because I'm sure this will rear its ugly head on many occasions.
Yeah.
Can I also mention, I've had an email, Alison Fernandez has very kindly given additional funding to what she calls hotspot policing. Now, following the town team meeting and the presentation by Robert Preston, we all appreciate the problems that Ilfracombe is facing. Unfortunately, Barnstable has got additional funding, but Ilfracombe again has been missed off the list. So I've sent a very curt reply, and I haven't yet had a response. But I basically asked why Ilfracombe has not been included. You know, bearing in mind the presentation that Robert Preston gave us. So I will keep members informed once I've actually included Laura in on both emails. But if members wish to reply, then please let me know and I will circulate the email further. But, you know, as I say, I think there's about 16 different towns that have been given this hotspot additional funding, but Ilfracombe unfortunately missed out yet again. All right, but you know, as I say, if you wish to respond to that email, please let me know. I can't remember who I got it from, but it was one of the Cooper brothers, if I remember correctly. So, as I say, I've also joined the council advocacy programme, so obviously I'm getting regular emails from them as well. All right, so, but as I say, you know, please, if you feel strongly, please do respond. All right, thank you.
Am I correct though that it's only, if an applicant who puts in a planning application that gets turned down has the right to appeal? If it goes through as an objective, it doesn't have the right to appeal. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I believe it's going to be a
Judicial review, yeah. Which is slightly different to an appeal, obviously.
Okay, thank you. Right, I think that's all our reports. Item 15, reports from working groups and councillor champion. Lincoln report.
So you've had the Lean report, so I won't go through what's been written, but just the addition from Councillor Crabb's report today. Back over the winter on my reports, it's been ongoing, the issues with flooding around the Grange area. So back in March, Councillor Crabb got someone out from Highways, they agreed they're going to do a plan, but they were waiting for new budgets to be available after April. So this is really good news, hot off the press. Too late for my report, if that's been done, because the people at the Grange, it's fine now, but they really want this to have been designed, but also put in place in time for this next winter. So we need to follow that up, that it's not just designed, that it actually happens. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Any questions for Pat? Right, moving on to item 16, correspondence, licenses and notice. Letter from Ian Room, see.
Yeah, it's been circulated to everybody in response to the letter that we sent out.
Yeah. And, anything on that from anybody?
Can I just add, there was a rumour going around, as members I shall appreciate, that an establishment in Ilfracombe was being used for housing of asylum seekers. Obviously, as we all know, that is not true. So please can we make sure that if we do hear from members of the public, that we, you know, squash that rumour for obvious reasons.
Yes. Noted. Licenses.
Yes, so that this particular license has come through. It's really to note, if you have an objection, we do need a very clear reason for objection, because it would then be go to court basically if we objected to it. So just to notify everybody that Santiago is just looking to, I think it's just extend their license.
It is, yeah.
Their alcohol license, and to have late night refreshments on Christmas and New Year's, to go that slightly bit later.
And it was wards prior to the change.
Okay.
Okay, so that's really just to note.
And person, that's an extension.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, that's good. Notices.
there aren't any.
No notices, right, we're on to chair's discretion, item 17.
Yes, the great chair's discretions. We Dan have one.
So we have,
Sarah. So it's Sarah, Dan,
Sorry,
and myself.
We'll start with around the table.
Mine's pretty straightforward. I wanted to thank Jeff, but he's not here tonight, so I just wanted to put a record. He's, you know, he always walks up every week, but not tonight. So every meeting. He's always been in the corner giving us a bit of help, so I wanted to thank him. I was going to give him a little bottle of wine, but he's not here, so I wanted to thank. If I pass you a bottle of wine, can you make your advice?
Sorry, I missed that.
Thank Jeff.
He's wine for
I wonder if you can get the bottle of wine to him somehow, or share it.
No, we can. If it can come down to Lean is a full mobility.
The only other thing I want to say, I just want to put a record to thank Councillor Crabb. I know he gets a lot of stuff, but he does a hell of a lot of hard work for us. And everything, all the work he's done, and
Councillor Wilson, wish you all the best, remember? And,
Moving on, next round the table, who's next? Sarah, yeah.
I want to just see what the feeling was around here about the Tunnels Beach closure, which I've had several emails about and haven't had time to act on yet. Yeah, I haven't investigated it or spoken to them, but all I know is I've had several residents email me about how they're really concerned about how it's going to affect the tourist offer this summer. As we know, the Tunnels is one of the main attractions in Ilfracombe, even though it's never been fully open to the public, or hasn't been for years, but partially open to the public on one side. And just really wanted to gauge what people's thoughts were about it. I think
It's a health and safety issues, and that's the reason why it's closed.
that is one of them.
So if it's health and safety,
I'm seeing it, so.
sorry, it would have to be closed, but we don't know the time frame of when works are going to be done or what needs to be done. But I would think I haven't got a choice if there's a problem, they've got to sort it.
Yeah, let's hear from June.
Right, as a member or councillor's member on the IBTA, this did come up at one of the meetings I attended, and like Pat's just said, or Councillor Coates had just said, it is a matter of health and safety, which is the reason they have actually closed it. But I understand that Jamie is investigating the cost to actually put a kind of I don't know what the technical term is, but if I say a net over the offending area, but obviously that is an ongoing discussion that he's having. He's also possibly looking at opening up the other beach to what he calls guided tours, so that members of visitors can actually still gain access to a certain area of the tunnels. Again, as I say, I believe this is an ongoing discussion that he's having, you know.
Sorry, someone from IBTA speaking to
Yeah, because he, as you obviously appreciate, he's an advertiser with the IBTA, so obviously it is quite an important tourist attraction. I think if you speak to the IBTA, they will tell you the Tunnels Beach is the top search engine on their website. So obviously, you know, it is very, very much visited, as we all know, and loved by locals and residents alike. But, you know, I'm sure Jamie, in his wisdom, has made the decision correctly, and we've just got to hope that whatever remedial action he can put in place, he does so as quickly as possible. But I honestly, with due respect to him, I honestly don't see this happening this summer. You know, I might be talking out of turn, but, you know, the likelihood is obviously, but the only other positives is hopefully our other beaches will benefit from, you know, that. I don't know, as I say. Anyway.
Go around Greg was next, and then George, then Nathan.
Councillor Crabbe, I think, sent around an email probably a couple of weeks ago, covering, I think, effectively what Jude said. So he's clearly spoken to Jamie about the issues, and what wasn't clear, Jim, is that he was looking at least opening like the historic part of the tunnels, even though people couldn't actually go onto the, if you like, the tourist beach at the time. I've got to say, some of the responses on social media from local people was history on it, quite disgraceful, to be honest. Some of the comments I've jumped to conclusions, unreasonably so, in my view.
Yeah, is it worth forwarding the email to Councillor Wilson?
I can do that.
Yeah, okay. George.
Yeah, I've actually been down there and I've seen it, because my Charmaine, I suppose the other Charmaine works there. There has been a rock fall. If anyone had been there, they would be dead. There's no question about it. And Jamie was just talking generally to the staff and putting one of these big steel mesh nets up. You may be talking about £500,000 or something. So that has to be properly investigated, but there is no doubt it cannot be open to the public at the moment.
Yeah. Especially those first-hand information.
Yeah, mine was the same there,
Yeah. Okay. Councillor Elliott?
Are there any grants that they can get to help with that? I'm not sure that's it. Heritage?
I think we'll have a look from an officer perspective. If there is any funding, we can always flag it up to them. So.
I think also it's doing that.
I suggest you get in contact and see if you can help them with that.
Yeah.
You might have some contacts with Devon.
I need Yeah, I just wanted to get a view, because no point in going and saying something, if people have already approached, might not people have done. I think the other thing is communicating to visitors that it's not open at the moment. I was people down there last week who just didn't know, and they come down with the kids and everything. Yeah, but yeah, thank you all. I'll talk to you about it.
Good stuff, right. First discretion, Karen.
Yeah, just to, let you know, that the notice of public rights, for the publication of the annual group accounts is going up on the 3rd of June. So it's available for the general public to look at it. They can copy it, between the 3rd of June and 14th of July. There will, it's all there online anyway, but if they wish to come and look at it, there will be a charge. And if they copy, there will be a charge, which is in line with everybody else's charges. So, just so that you know, and that will go on our window and on the website to allow the public to know.
You.
Yeah, I've gone from 2 to probably about 5, so, but they're all short, it's all information only, it's all things that have happened since I've done my report. First one is just in case anyone wasn't aware, and in case you do get asked, with regards to Caxton, the cliff protection that's being done as of today will take about 4 weeks. You know, that's the bit that's being fenced off on the right to go up around towards Windy Corner. And they're not going to be leaving it uncut. Caxton will be cut this year. There will be small patches of wildflowers, so hopefully we won't have quite the barrage of negative comments from the public as we did last year, so that is happening. But we will be consulted with regards to any future, if they decide they're not going to cut anything, but it will be cut this year. With regards to the High Street, which is kind of off the back of Steve's report, the work that Sarah, Neil and the team are doing, but predominantly Neil and Sarah, with regards to High Street regeneration, just to let you know that they are doing that survey as per her report, but there will be a letter that will be going out, which just needs a bit of tweaking. It's something that they're doing in Barnstable. It's a kind letter to start with, as to please could you, make your property look a little bit better. Please could you consider painting it? Please could you consider making it more attractive for the good of the High Street? So just to let you know that, I'm happy to circulate that out in case anyone has any major interest, but at the moment it's a very soft touched approach, but with the underlying line that if you don't and it gets worse, we will progress it. So, and that's only going to the worst case scenarios in High Street. It's not going to absolutely everybody. With regards to the art trail, obviously those of you that did it, it was brilliant. I will be sending out a letter of thank you and congratulations, just so everybody knows. With regards to that, letters did go out to Sarah and to Paul, just congratulations and thank you. So just so you know what communication I have been doing. And then with the Poverty Truth Commission have asked me today, which you may all have major objections to, as to whether or not I can remove your photographs from the window. The reason that the Poverty Truth Commission would like to take over that window with, I think Charmaine's working on this as well, is we will potentially move your photos still inside the council offices so that people who come in know who you are, but you won't necessarily be visual from the outside. I'm not sure many of you will hopefully not object too much. But that window will now become a window, an information-based window on services and things that are available to the public. I'm not sure exactly the content, that I think is still being worked out through the Public Tree Commission, but I just wanted to mention it in case any of you want to lynch me for removing a photo from the window.
Good.
That's really it.
I don't, but, on the website, the councillor photograph is quite out of date, as we've had a change.
Yes.
Quite a few councillors, it might be worth taking another one.
Yeah, we've been obviously trying to take it as we've had new councillors. I think that's possibly one of Steve's jobs maybe at some point, because I know John hasn't got a photograph currently. But I mean, if everyone's happy to do that, I'm quite keen. I can schedule half an hour before the next full council meeting that you can come in and have proper up-to-date photographs. It will give you all the chance to, obviously, if you want to go get your hair cut or put your makeup on.
Need a budget allocated for that.
There's no budget allocations, David, sorry, but yes, Terry will do that. So if everyone's happy to come in that little bit earlier at the next full council meeting, we can try and get everybody done. And it would be good actually to get a group photograph of everybody as well, because we haven't had that for a little while, and you've got 3 new councillors since the last, so. If, I'll send an email out though and schedule that. Photographs, beginning part of full council next month. Okay, you've all got a chance to get a tan.
So no final suggestions.
No, it doesn't seem like anybody's objecting too harshly, but. Yeah. So that's all my information.
Right, thank you very much. So ends chair's discretion. So any actions to agree from this meeting?
Outside, Isabel will list them at the end of the minutes, so that anything that you have agreed, we're all aware of.
Well, so therefore I declare this meeting closed. 22.
Lovely, Chair. This is.